Smiling Friends is finally coming back. Season 3 is dropping next month, and we have just got our first ever look at what's in store. So let's hop into it and see what's next for one of the craziest cartoons I've ever covered on this channel. Well, actually, maybe for the uninitiated, Smiling Friends is an adult animated series created by a couple of YouTube animation legends, Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel. The show premiered on the Cartoon Network late night block Adult Swim back in 2022, even though technically the first episode was released in 2020, 2 years prior, but semantics, shut up, I'm embarrassed. It's all about these two guys named Pim and Charlie who work for a charity group called the Smiling Friends, whose mission is to make people smile when they need cheering up. And the show became basically an overnight success thanks to its surreal mix of animation styles, memorable characters, its wild sense of humor that can go from 0 to 1,000 in like seconds, and its chronically online energy, making it feel different than basically anything else on TV. Dude, they put the nostalgia critic in an episode. This show's different. After the most recent season ended last summer, Smiling Friends was straight up everywhere. I've been hearing multiple different clips from just that season making the rounds as TikTok trends for ages. The show really made an impact, and fans have been desperate for more. And luckily, that more is right around the corner. So what do we know? Well, season 3 is set to premiere on October 5th, 2025. And since it's still airing on Adult Swim, we should be expecting a traditional weekly episode release schedule as opposed to like, I don't know, a big binge drop. New episodes are going to premiere on TV first, then probably come to HBO Max like the next day. Past seasons have only had about maybe 8 or 9 episodes, so I would expect about the same. As far as what those episodes will be about, while we don't have many specifics, according to The Hollywood Reporter, we should be looking forward to seeing, quote, Pim, Charlie, Flint, and the rest of the gang in their quest to spread happiness. The new batch of episodes promises to include Mr. Frog sprinting directly at the camera, the friends collecting spirit gems, and a pivotal confrontation with an ancient witch. Who the fuck is Flint? Reading a bit further, it seems like season 3 is looking to take advantage of the show's success to expand the storytelling possibilities, experiment with more animation mediums, and just kind of screw around with the format in general. So, you know, it's nice to see Michael and Zach aren't, like, resting on their laurels here. It sounds like they really want to take full advantage of the opportunities they got. And they got a lot of them, considering they've already locked seasons 4 and 5. All that before we even know anything about season 3 to begin with. But luckily, back on September 4th, finally getting back on track, we've got our first ever trailer for the season. So let's take a look. Starting out strong, the entire Smiling Friends building fell over. Building fall down. But then we get a quick montage showing all of the crazy antics we've come to expect. And we get to see our boys Charlie and Pim doing their job as usual, helping the sad citizens of their town out with their problems, going off on adventures, and sitting around the office. Until the office falls out from underneath them. Yeah, there we go. Now we get to the interesting stuff. Because this trailer really does make an effort to show off just how season 3 is looking to shake things up. It looks like we're getting more episodes that take a twist on the usual formula or, you know, follow like a more unique grouping of characters. Particularly, it looks like we're gonna get more time spent with the other 3 members of the Smiling Friends crew, Alan, Glep, and Mr. Boss. And we got a few shots of the 3 of them all kicking back in this cozy log cabin in the woods, grilling up some hot dogs and chilling in a jacuzzi. And more interestingly, we've got this shot of Alan and Glep going on a usual Smiling Friends job together. And legit, it looks like they're on the same street that we saw Charlie and Pim on back in like the pilot episode. Not only does this mean we're gonna get some cool flips on the usual Smiling Friends formula, seeing how characters other than Charlie and Pim handle these insane situations, dude, this shot alone shocked me from just how much it highlights the animation upgrades. It might not look like much, but when you put it side by side with the similar clip from the pilot, the upgrades really just pop out at you. In fact, the biggest standout from the entire trailer really is just how fantastic the animation is looking. There's so much extra detail in just about everything. You know, both the mundane stuff like the backgrounds and in the crazy stuff like this animation of a girl eating her entire boyfriend. But you know, don't worry, the show's classic, fast, jumpy, old school internet style animation is still totally intact. This is still Adult Swim after all. But then there's this one scene of what looks like Charlie and Pim at like a big top circus or something, watching an act called The Three Weird Willies. Those willies then completely losing control, leading to the entire circus tent coming down. And everything from the lighting, the cinematography and framing, the perspective, the detail of the motion, it's all just so dynamic in a way way that really surprised me for this show. Like, you can literally see how successful the show has been and how passionate the people working on it are in just this trailer. The scale up just looks insane, while still retaining everything that makes the show, Smiling Friends. Now I could understand some people missing the simpler, less polished look of the older episodes. There's a real charm and just kind of off-putting energy to that look, in like the best way possible. In that kind of like, I spent way too much time on albinoblacksheep.com in the 2000s kind of way. But what we might be losing with that, we're more than making up for with the amount of other animation mediums on display. We got this guy, who looks like he could be related to Zooble from the Amazing Digital Circus. He's CG, he's made of cheese and rubber, he yells, and his car blows up. Great character. Yeah, actually, since he yells at Charlie and Pym to get off his property when they're literally just standing next to his car, I think he might just live in there. Well, now I feel bad for making fun of his engine exploding. But he is one of the first and only all-CG characters that we see in this trailer, and while I can't really showcase it because my last Smiling Friends video got content ID'd for showing clips, the animation on this character is pretty interesting. In the 2 short clips that we get, we see he's got this really smooth, bouncy animation style, but he's still able to match the frantic, high-speed energy of the 2D characters. I don't know, I thought it was a pretty impressive showcase of the character animation for just a couple seconds. I'm excited to see more of this little freak. There's a couple of scenes where we see Charlie and Pym out in nature, and both of them have some non-2D characters, like these mushroom guys and then this giant green blob monster. I love these guys because they look like they might be stop motion, claymation, but they also could just as easily be CG made to mimic stop motion. It's real easy to do that junk, man. If you know what you're doing, that is. I don't. Someone does. Yeah, I know all this isn't necessarily brand new for Smiling Friends. I mean, they've had a variety of animation styles basically since day one, but seeing how things have been scaled up in general for Season 3, I feel like we're bound to see this animation variety go even further. I also think it's interesting to see that the show's been going long enough now to be making a bunch of fan-servicey callbacks. There's a clip of Mr. Boss and Alan walking around the office with this random old guy. Is that Flint? I don't know. A piece of the wall caves in, and then we see that random dude who lived in the walls and looked up questionable material online. That was from the first episode, dude, and he never showed back up again. And now he's dead. What was he using that bucket for? Of course, the trailer gives us a pretty lengthy spotlight on the return of fan favorite Mr. Frog, the endlessly problematic celebrity character who has eaten multiple human beings and said things that made Jimmy Fallon pull this face. Looks like he's president now, completely and utterly trashing the Oval Office with blood and fire and a bunch of Grubhub bags. As unhinged as ever, too, just breaking bottles, lighting junk up, and shooting off shotguns indoors. Gosh. I wonder if there are any real-world events this could possibly be a satire of. And lastly, there's this guy. I don't know his name. He might not have one, actually. Dude just kind of shows up a bunch. Wait, is that Flint? In terms of stories, though, there's not too much to go on here. I mean, it's not like this is some kind of big plot-driven thing to begin with, so there wouldn't be a ton to dig up there anyway. But I feel like we can still glean a few possible storylines from what we see in this trailer. Fun fact, glean is a word I had never heard before in my life until I was editing an episode of Game Theory. Pat dropped it, and I literally had to look it up in order to know what to put on screen. It basically just means you can figure it out by looking at the data. Anyway, if you were to ask me, I'd assume that we're gonna get an episode about the whole gang going out on some kind of nature retreat. Alan, Mr. Boss, and Glep staying nice and cozy at that cabin, and Charlie and Pym hiking out into the woods to clean up litter. Probably gonna involve some kind of classic character conflict between Pym wanting to keep things clean and Charlie not caring, the usual stuff, which will then probably be made trivial when the giant maybe stop motion, maybe CGI blob monster attacks. Cut, print, we got it. The past 2 seasons have also always had some kind of like Halloween and Christmas specials, and it looks like that ain't changing anytime soon either. As we can already see a clip of the Halloween episode as this crazed zombie Glep attacks Alan at what looks like an office Halloween party. So I'd assume this is either going to turn into some kind of zombie apocalypse story, or I don't know, maybe more of like an Exorcist type deal. And lastly, the trailer ends with this clip of Charlie and Pym held hostage underground by this little mole man thing. A lot of little freaks in this trailer. I'm into it. I would have to assume that this connects to the clip where Charlie and Pym fall through the floor of the office out of nowhere. But then the big thing here is this mangled looking Smiling Friends face in the mole man's lair. Because these clips go by so fast, and because I was distracted by the mole man making the funny penis joke, it actually took me a second to notice that this smiley face is made up of a bunch of scraps and garbage. So I'm gonna toss out a wild guess here to say that this mole man has been observing the Smiling Friends for ages, has become obsessed with them, and is now trying to, I don't know, join them or take them over by force. He's also got a jar of nut. And given all this, I wouldn't be surprised if this all ties back to that bit where the wall caved in too. I don't know, man. I haven't seen it yet. Jar nut. And that is just about everything we've got to look at. I mean, the trailer's only like a minute long, so I think we're lucky to have gotten as much to talk about as we did. Obviously, there's still a lot we don't know, but of course, all will become clear in just a few weeks when the season begins. This is really just an excuse to overanalyze things and get hyped for the show coming back, you know? With that premiere date less than a month away, we don't gotta wait much longer until our favorite, surprisingly wholesome, yet incredibly vulgar and unhinged cartoon is back. And until then, I think there's only one thing left to ask. Seriously, who the hell is Flint? Why the hell would that article and press statement mention someone named Flint who's never shown up and has not shown up since? Is the show trolling us again? I know they tend to do that. Nah, I gotta know who Flint is. Is it him? Is it his penis? It might be his penis. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video, and of course, now it's time to give a massive shout out to all of my Livin' in Denial channel members. Loki, not that one, Princess Ella Bunny, Memeboy049, Rhea Myers, Sam Berger, Jake Artist 13, Yes Carly, Poggy King _3, JBG0801, Broken Pie, Revamped Skunk, Not So Simple Grim, Chiller Beans, Grace Strickland, L1 Brew 5, Hey It's Rosa, Nona Ha, Star Squared, Strange Fan 101, Glue Gunner, Megan Modestly, AR Hester, Dirk, Flip Flop, Mario Underground, Wolfglar, Bucket Studios, Michael Milton, Z-Boot, DeWild Megalo, Cyril Plays 656, Mimikyu199, Ciela Star, Zekron, and Galaxy. Thank you! What was this video about? Smiling Friends. Yeah, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Okay.